Hello InstaFam and welcome to the virtual edition of VLCC Femina Miss India 2020 co-powered by Sephora and Reposo. Now today we're going to have a very informative session lined up for you where all your nutrition related queries shall be answered. So if you're thinking, what are these fad diets? Which one should I really follow? Does coffee do everything for me? Are health supplements good for me? Well, we have all the answers for you today on this session, so make sure you keep asking them in your comments. I shall pick up as many as I can. And you know who's doing that for us, along with some myth busting? We have Dr. Deepthi Verma, Head Nutrition, VLCC Institute. So we have an expert on board. What are we waiting for? Let's rope her in.
Hi, Supreet.
Perfect. Good to have you
look
here.
lovely.
Thank you very
so
much.
much.
All right, so we're all excited. Let's start this, and I'm going to dive straight in to know the difference between nutrition and diet, and why is it that one should pay importance to nutrition?
Okay, so nutrition actually in today's time is, like people solely related to thinness and being slim, but nutrition and diet is much more than that. And it actually means to have a holistic good health in terms of physical, mental, social, emotional. So all of these combined together actually makes good health. So yes, nutrition is very, very important, and it actually aims to, it's like we can say that it is a preventive health, regime that one needs to follow, and to alleviate different kind of diseases that one has and not make them susceptible towards diseases, whether it's physical or mental. So yes, it gives us a holistic fitness and a great health.
So if I was to break it down in layman term, we basically have a misconception that diet means eating less, right? And that's what I think you're here to bust in terms of telling us that eating right is more important than eating less.
Yes.
All
so
right.
talking more, okay. So Supreet, talking more about eating less. Eating less is something our body needs nutrients, like we need, I'm sure that people have heard about carbohydrate, fats, proteins, vitamin, minerals, water. So all these are called nutrients. So the body needs different nutrients. It needs nutrients in optimal amount. We don't need to eat less or anything. It's just to do with so much of a lifestyle modification as well. So it's not so much about eating. It's about working out. It's about sleeping on time. It's about hydrating yourself properly and so much more. Like, same for mental health, meditating a bit. So it's like put all of this together to give one a holistic health. So yeah, it's not just about diet. So in all these things that I mentioned, so diet becomes one of the components, that why we should be eating right to have a great health. So yeah, it is actually more holistic approach that we actually aim at being.
I may have lost you there for a sec.
Okay.
Are you back now? Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so before you joined in, we were actually talking about fad diets and how confusing they all are. So when you go to the supermarkets, you see all these labels now staring at you, from gluten-free to vegan to sugar-free to and keto, of course, being something that everybody was jumping on, which had come from the parent group of Atkins somehow. So we're just wondering, what is it that one should follow? And the latest one, the blood group diet. I need to understand what all of these diets do for us and which one should we really pick if we should.
Well, as I told you earlier, Supreet, that, the focus and aim should be always on eating right and eating a healthful food, So it's not about eating. So all these diets may make you slim because you're not eating optimally. You're eating much less than what your body requires. So yes, they may make you thin, but we are not aiming here. There is a difference between being thin and there's a difference between being fit. So yes, for a fit diet, one needs to be, like eating a holistic kind of a food. But yes, that's what it should be. Whereas when you talk about the keto diet, the Atkins diet, and the Mediterranean diet, and plethora of so many other diets that actually aims at making you slimmer. So slim people can also be sick people. So we don't want them to be, because all those, the different diets that people have might land them up, with a lot of hair loss and a very dull skin. The immune system goes down, they have metabolic problems, and they have several other problems, that the body gets predisposed to. So no, we would never recommend any diet, that is less carbohydrate and less this and less fat, because your body needs all the nutrients in the optimal amounts. So it's better to go for a nice, healthy, ghar ka khana, which is like, or everything like fruits, vegetables, dal, chawal, roti, ghee, whatever it is, in optimal amounts, and portion control along with exercise and a great sleep would actually do wonders for the body.
What about this, the blood group one? They say that it's important that you should eat what your body can digest. And according to your blood group, there's certain things that may not digest well and sort of have you uncomfortable. For example, randomly saying Rajma not good for AB positive. So
Yeah.
do you think there's any weight to that, or this is just a myth out there?
Well, I mean, blood group diets actually had come in many, many years back, and things have changed since then. So we would not recommend people to go in for any kind of, this also comes under the umbrella of the fat diet. So we would not
Okay.
recommend people to go in for the blood group diet. Yes, blood group diet does say that people with O blood group should have a lots of, like a protein, high protein foods, and they should not have carbohydrates at all. But we have to remember at the end of the day that carbs are the main suppliers of energy, and we need loads of it in today's time for good physical, mental health. So no, we would not want to recommend any kind of a fat diet under any circumstances. We'd actually recommend a normal, healthy, great diet. Binging once in a while is okay, say once in 10 days. But yes, I mean, there's nothing like one formula fits all in any case, right? So everybody has their own journey, their own activity levels, their own choice of food, their own religious preferences of the food. So go ahead and have everything, that your diet. But then yes, avoid processed food. That is one advice I always say. No biscuits and no breads and no packaged beverages and all those things, because they would majorly land us up in a problem. And less use of plastics. That's going to save them also from different medical ailments. So yeah.
Right. So I think what I'm hearing here is, which is refreshing, is that carbs are good. They are our friends, but we keep saying no carbs, no carbs. But what you're
Yes.
saying is carbs in refined stuff. And obviously
Yes.
things like biscuit carbs are different, but carbs from your roti are fine, right?
Yes. Yeah. So there are two kind of carbohydrates. One we could say was, I don't want to come across as very technical, but I'm sure people know so much about it in today's time. So one set of carbs is called complex carbohydrate. That's carbohydrates with fiber. The other set of carbohydrates are called without fiber, which are made with refined flour or maida, so to speak. So anything which is made with refined flour or maida is something which is not good for us. And anything which is the complex carbohydrates like cereals, all the cereals like wheat and rice and bajra and jawar and like corn and ragi. So all these things are wonderful, absolutely. And also the fruit family comes under the umbrella of carbohydrates. So that's also carbohydrate, which is a complex carbohydrate. So that's also very good for us. So yes, complex is good, simple is out. I mean, keep it that way.
All right. Complex is good, people. You heard it. We've got a question from Premar Bhasin here, who's asking, is it true that only carbs convert into fat in the body, whereas fat from food is different?
Who's asking the question?
This is Premar Bhasin.
Okay. Hi, Prem Bhasin. So your answer to this is that whether it's carbohydrate or fat or proteins, all these three are called energy nutrients. So whether you have excess of carbs or excess of protein or excess of fat, all of these would convert into fat in the body, because they are all excess calories. So all three of them are called calorie nutrients. So they all give calories. So carbohydrate and protein give the same amount of calories that people don't know of. People want to take in a high protein to make muscles, because they are not aware about it. But what we have to realize that even extra protein is going to give us fat, because protein, carbohydrate, and fat, all of this extra converts into fat in the body.
So since you mentioned that, what about all the protein shakes that people have before and after gymming, and they say that that's something that the body must absorb? So is that okay to do?
Certainly not. Actually, proteins, if taken in excess amounts, and if your body is not really making them into muscles, because you have to work out optimally to be taking that level of proteins, right? So our diet provides sufficient amount of proteins. Proteins, when taken in excess, converts into some kind of bad acids, which we call ketone bodies in the body, that further burdens the kidneys and leads to kidney problems in later life. So it's always better that we always take an advice of a good nutrition consultant before starting any kind of a protein supplements. In fact, in India, there was a survey that there's so many of, the patients, renal patients or kidney patients, so to speak, in the hospitals for renal transplant, for the kidney transplant, who are below the age of 35. And that's only because the reason is that they've been overdoing their protein supplements. So we would never advise anybody to, like take so much of protein. As it is, the Indian diet is so rich in protein. Everything, even a normal chai and coffee is loaded with milk, which is rich in protein. The wheat that we consume primarily as the staple cereal in India, that's protein in nature because it has gluten in it, which is like protein in nature. So everything that we have in India, I mean the curd and the pulses and legumes, everything in India is high protein in nature. So already our diets are actually high in protein. So no point overindulgence in proteins. So we would naturally require, unless we feel that you kind of work to that level that allows you to take that extra bit of protein as a supplement. So yes, we have to be very careful. So please consult your nutritionist or a dietitian before starting any kind of a protein supplement. Otherwise, there'll be serious health problems. And of course, high uric acid, which is so commonly seen because of taking high supplements in protein. So yeah.
And what about health supplements then, especially when you get all these packaged tablets and capsules outside saying women's health supplement, women over 30 should have this, men under 50 should have this. So these capsules run at night or whatever that may be. Are these helpful?
Well, not really. I mean, if you optimally take a good diet, there is no reason to be on supplements. It's just that we always these days, there's so much of a focus on, gut health or the intestinal health or gut bacteria is what we call. So if you have great gut bacteria, if you are vegetarian, if you don't overindulge in tea and coffee and carbonated beverages and excessive alcohol, excessive smoking, all your nutrients are going to be absorbed excellent from your intestine into your circulation. So as such, there wouldn't be really any need to do that. But yes, if the lifestyle is like a bit faulty, if people are on too much of alcohol and smoking and caffeine in their diet, then the nutrients may not get absorbed because all these things that I've named, like caffeine and tea and alcohol and smoking, all of these are called anti-nutrients. They do not let the good nutrients get absorbed through the wall of the intestine into your circulatory system. So then we may need to give you supplements. But again, consult a good nutritionist before starting any kind of a supplemental program, because toxicity or excess amount of these supplements, if taken, also would land us in some health problems.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is hold back on your teas and coffees then?
I'm sorry?
One should hold back on their teas and coffees?
Oh, well, a couple of them in a day is all right. But we see people consuming such high amount of teas and coffees, as they say, any time in India is a tea time. So, when people meet, they're having tea. When friends come over, they're having tea. When they're feeling cold, they're having tea. When they're tired, they're having tea. When they're back from work, they're having tea. When they reach to the work, they have tea. So then that becomes like slightly excessive in nature. So we not advise so much of a tea and coffee intake.
What about decaf? Does that help in any way then to get away from the whole caffeine?
I'm not sure there's anything like a decaf. I mean, everything, like even a green tea, so to speak, contains caffeine. So it has some bit of 30 to 50 milligrams of caffeine. So we control on the green tea as well, So no, I mean, we would not advise one to go in for whether it's decaffeinated or caffeinated tea and coffee at all, because at the end of the day, it is tannin, caffeine, nicotine coming from all of them, which are not so great for health. But yes, in moderation, it is all right. We Indians enjoy our adrak ki chai so much, so you can stick on to that. So maybe twice in a day. So that would be good. And alcohol shifted towards the weekends, and don't overindulge. So we are not saying no for alcohol. It is all right to have a bit of it. And of course, coffee again. So it's either tea or coffee. One of these can be taken twice in a day. So that would be still tolerable for our bodies and optimal amount. Yeah. So nothing more than that.
Wow, doctor, every answer of yours is busting a myth today. And that's so good, because I know so many people out there, including my friends, who have swapped their teas and coffees. They don't have their normal stuff, but they are so much on green tea. Morning, evening, noon. Like you said, happy is green tea, sad is green tea, everything is green tea. Workout ke baad green tea, workout mein jar mein. They will still bring a flask of green tea, lukewarm, and sipping it instead of water. There's so much green tea going on.
Yes, imagine.
I'm so glad you busted that today.
See, Supreet, I just always have one thing to say, is that if green tea made us thin and fitter, the world would have been a fitter place by now. because green tea is so available everywhere. So if green tea had to make us thin, we all will be like slim and trim. So no, it doesn't. It has so much to do with diet and physical and mental health, because I've been focusing so much on mental health these days because people have so much of stress. So, in stress, we release all the hormones that are, antagonizing us to lose weight. So it becomes difficult. So, so it has to be a mix and match of both. Good amount of physical activity. Every day people have excuses, as to why not go for a walk today. Why shouldn't I run today? They'll be like, that today I'm tired, today the maid hasn't come, today the kids have woken up early, today I have a party to go to. So, like every day we'd look for excuses to not go for a walk. So that's
Yeah.
something that we need to work upon and take a step outside the comfort zone and realize that it is so important for us, because when we go for a walk, we release all the happy hormones in our brain, that keeps us pepped up throughout the day. So great for mental health. And then, of course, that will, like accentuate your weight loss in a healthy manner. At the same time, it will not make us binge, because all the hormones that release when we work out or when we go for a run, they do not let us overeat, they do not, because they control our satiety levels, feeling of fullness, the appetite and all those things also at the same time. So yes, a mix of both is going to give us a great life. And we are not monks, right? So we don't expect people to kind of do everything right. But yes, when we stick on to a good lifestyle and a great diet, binging only once in a while, it's never no for anything, So it's all right to binge once in a while. Go ahead and have your pizza and things like that, which is fine. But only once in a week for one meal. And rest of the time, stick on to a normal, healthy ghar ka khana. So, of course, the healthy foods are tastier foods also. I mean, we all love to have our stuffed parathas and, like even the other foods, the hibaras and whatever people love to have, bhel puri. So we can go ahead and have their own healthy foods and we do recommend them to people and you can still lose weight along with all those. But it's just that little bit of portion control. So, but then when you work out, it won't be very difficult to actually control the portion because the dopamine hormone and the leptin hormone, these two release, that would never allow us to overindulge and have extra bit of food because they suppress the appetite and they let us eat only as much as what our body needs. So yes, it is important to amalgamate both, if you want to lead a great lifestyle.
I suppose one can do some smart eating as well. For example, I'm a pizza lover. You can give me pizza any day of the week and I will have it. That's how much I love it. But I remember from having that जो हम स्कूल में खाते थे that deep pan really loaded with cheese kind of pizza, my taste buds and my lifestyle changed to having a thin crust with just like the Italian style of having it, which is more like sort of really just like papad. It's really very thin and it's got the nice kind of just the right amount of cheese and some healthy vegetarian options on top, and I feel like I've actually had a very healthy meal. So it's still a pizza, but it's like a smarter way of having it than just saying stuffed cheese भी कर लो, ऊपर से cheeses load cheese मतलब उसको load भी कर दो आप cheese के साथ और साथ में फिर उसके साथ आप veggies भी खा लो. So then obviously you'll be like, and garlic bread of course, and you'll be like, oh no, I'm bursting. So
yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. There's smarter ways of eating. In fact, you won't believe that we have these whole wheat crust pizzas also available in the market now. We have suji pizza bases. So we have things like these. So we can actually go in for these instead. And, when we talk about alcohol, we recommend wine, better than the hard drinks because wine, of course, contains very good, antioxidants. It's called anti-aging, anti-inflammatory. So yes, that also. So, that's anytime better. And the other better options also, anything which is made with refined flour these days, is made in complex carb cereal as well. So it's not so much of an issue anymore eating out. And then of course, as a last resort, we have the whole wheat breads in case we want to, kind of have anything like a sub sandwich or anything like that. So yes, there are smarter, better options. And it's all right to indulge in samosas or something, which is like once in 10 days and once in a week's time. So, but then incorporate that into a meal is what I always advise instead of taking it as a snack meal. So if you really want to have a samosa once in a while, so one samosa is equivalent to about 200 kilocalories. So you can have a samosa and a cup of assorted veggies for your dinner instead of having it at a snack. Where people go wrong is that they eat that for snacks and then they overindulge for dinner as well. So they're having a samosa at 5 o'clock and then 7:30 they're having a proper meal. So then it becomes extra. But if they really want to have like pakoras, say for example, so whenever it rains, barish mein pakoras is so much of a thing in India. So one can go ahead and have your pakoras, but then those 6, 7 pakoras that you have, should be had at the dinner time, so 7 o'clock, and no dinner after that. So then it
Yeah.
becomes like pleasurable. That will not hamper with our weight loss or anything like that. So once in a while, it's okay. I mean, all these foods are great enough. I mean, they're good foods. I wouldn't say that pakoras are bad or anything. Of
Hmm.
course, samosas are a bit. It's a lot of simple carbohydrate, potatoes
Yeah.
and maida. But yeah, once in a while, it's okay. But then you should know how to eat it. That's very important. So as it is, there's a quote that says weight loss is not about what to eat. It's about when and how you eat.
How
So
to
when
eat.
and how is what, yeah, I would like to advise people about.
I'm sure the viewers would say इसमें हमारी गलती थोड़ी ना है. This is the मौसम's fault. अब बारिश होगी तो पकौड़े तो हम खाएंगे. But another thing I wanted to ask you is, what about air fryers and use of those? Does that help at all to take the excess oil out, or you think that's
Well,
too
it
risky?
does. Yes, it
Yeah.
does. It does bring down the calories for sure. Instead of deep frying, people are having something which is air fried, which just needs some brushing of the oil on the surface of the food. So, but then I really, personally speaking, Supreet, I would never advise people, and I'd rather say that if you want to have a samosa, go for the real one. It's all right to have it once in a while. The air fried samosas and pakoras may not really have that kind of a taste
Yes.
and the feel and the feeling of satisfaction that people have. So it's all right to go, but then again, as I mentioned, that please have it as a main course and not as a snack meal. Then it would be okay. Yeah.
You actually touched upon eating nothing after, say, 7 or 8 p.m. So eating late, that's something that I think it's the problem of the youth of today,
Yeah.
because Netflix is on the side, and maybe dinners are in bed, and there's just a lot of binge eating happening. So this whole eating late and also associated intermittent fasting that people are doing otherwise. Either they're two basically extremes. Either you
Yes.
eat really late, or it's the whole intermittent fasting thing where you just don't eat for 12 hours.
Yeah.
What is your way to go?
Oh, well, eating early and eating less for dinner is one thing that I've always, given a shout out as, because the metabolism actually falls down drastically after the evening, after the sunset. And well, in India, our kitchens open after that, so it becomes all a samosa ki dukan opens after 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And that is the time when our metabolism has really gone down. People, because of that, are not getting a good sleep. A good sleep is very important, but you can never have a good sleep with a full stomach. The food has to be digested. So we always recommend people to eat the last meal about 3 to 3.5 hours before going to bed. Okay, that and going to bed by 10:30, 11 o'clock. That's one key to a great health, and people who started doing it. So we have this Benjamin Franklin's poem, little when we had studied in school, that early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. So it's a very profound poem. I can actually explain this for about 2 hours because it has so much to do with the metabolic, changes and the goodness and well-being that it brings to us. So it is actually early to bed and early to rise. So, our body actually rejuvenates, regenerates, makes lots of hormones, antibodies, and enzymes in the early part of the sleep in the night and not in the latter part of the sleep. So, the immune cells are made in the first part of the sleep of the night also. So it becomes important for us to be slept, and all these things happen, all the factories of our body opens when we are into a deep sleep mode. So hence it becomes important to sleep early, because you actually see that people who sleep late, they have this problem of not just insomnia, but also hypertension, hypothyroidism, diabetes type 2, these comorbidities. That's why we say that a good lifestyle and nutrition, I personally call it a preventive health medicine, because that's what I always advocate, that you change these things in your life and you're going to see that the diseases run away from you and you don't need to visit doctors, and you end up saving a lot of money from your medical bills. So yes, I mean, like,
Very good
I think
advice. It's a very simple one, but
yes,
it's the mistake that everyone's making out there.
yes.
So thank you for bringing that to light. We've also been asked if there's a diet out there that can help promote skin growth and generally the, like how you have the cell growth, just good for skin. Is there a
Yeah.
diet out there for that?
Yes, there is. So the first thing is that our skin is made up of a protein called collagen. We all know that because people have been binging on supplements of collagen as well. So that's a protein that makes up the skin. So collagen gets restored, and it, like it does not go off when you have a good amount of vitamin C. So a great fruit diet, fruits on a daily basis, is considered to be very good because vitamin C actually builds in collagen and stops the breakage of the collagen, firstly. Second thing is hydrate the skin cells well. Like always keep hydrating and drinking good fluids like coconut water, lemon water, plain water consistently throughout the day. People these days I see do not have enough water. So the skin cells actually become dry. It's almost like that orange that you see fresh and the same orange you see after a gap of 1 month. It becomes smaller, dehydrated and dry. That's what happens to our skin when we don't drink plenty of fluids. So about 4 liters of fluids is what I always recommend to everyone on a daily basis, consistently throughout the day first. And then third point, very important, is to have a good food, which is non-greasy and non-deep fried. Because fats, again, does not give that kind of a glow and regeneration to the skin. So that's also very important. And have lots of antioxidants and vitamins, which comes from fruits and vegetables, which is considered to be an alkaline diet. So, and of course, very important, well-rested body. So if you are not well rested, the skin will never be glowing. The skin will never look good because they say that the skin actually gives the impression of your total health. So yeah, that is an outward kind of a thing, but skin does actually give the impression of the total health of the body. So take care of all these aspects that I've mentioned so that we can have a great skin also.
I've also been asked, there's a lot of everybody who wanted to know about skin. I hope this is answered for you now. And if you've noticed, everything does come back to that. We've got to make sure you get enough sleeping hours and doing justice to your body, because it will send you signals, right? When people say dark circles, what is that? It's a signal from your body to tell you that you haven't slept enough. Or puffy eyes, or even stuff like body odor. That's your body telling you something, isn't it, doctor?
Yes. Actually, it basically means that your body is overloaded with toxins. So it's a time to detox your body. Go easy on sleep, go easy on the diet, eat less, hydrate yourself, sleep well, work out more, because working out releases a lot of sweat, and sweat is nothing but water, toxins, and salts. So yes, very important to do that and be on alkaline diet for a while. Our bodies are 80% alkaline in nature and 20% acidic. And alkaline means whole grain cereals, fruits and vegetables. So be on whole grain cereals, fruits and vegetables for a few days, not eating processed food at all. De-stress yourself by going for a great activity or doing things that you love, drawing, painting, music, running, writing, whatever it be. And of course, a bit of yoga, because I would always recommend that. I'm a firm believer that even 20 minutes of yoga can transform your life. It's just that people have to do it. So as we say, one rule of workout and fitness is that you just have to do it, because people are not doing it. So yes, take that me time out, focus on your own life, reflect on what you have to do, what you do on a daily basis, where you're going wrong. So come back to that, love yourself and, like give yourself attention. So when you really love yourself, then you would not want to do anything which is wrong, because the world knows things, they are right, they are wrong. These are things not to be eaten. They are things not to be followed. Workout, very important. Sleeping on time, very important. Less on WhatsApp and, internet in the night. Don't binge watch Netflix after 11 o'clock in the night. So we all know that. It's just that we are not being able to put into practice. So we have to love ourselves enough to be able to say no to all those binges that we do in our daily lives, because it's actually affecting our health. And like it easily says that we have to showcase health in terms of the real fitness, not just being thin and not just like going on this and being thin to kind of just wear those clothes or something. So it should not be like that. The real fitness, when you start enjoying your life, when you're happy all the time, when your body looks great, when you're toned, when you fit, when you're being creative. So it's all going to reflect into everything that we have in our life. So yeah, that's the real fitness for us.
I think you've got many guilty people today saying, "Oh no, WhatsApp, always on it." रात को सोते हुए भी last time check करना जरूरी हो जाता है, right? It's just
Yes.
everyone guilty, hands up, but you know very well it's not right for us. So,
Yeah, it's not right. It actually gives us sleep issues also. So all the digital screens that we have, whether it is from a Kindle read or whether it is from WhatsApp, whether it's from the laptop, whether it's from a television. So in our terminology, we call it a blue light, anything which emits light to us. So whenever a blue light falls into our eyes, it actually stimulates all our mental nerves in the brain. And as a result of that, we actually get more stimulated into instead of going into the sleeping mode. So obviously we become like more active in the night instead of going in the restful and peaceful state of mind. It would always give us problems with the sleep. And less of sleep means all bad hormones coming around that are going to hinder the weight loss, that is going to reduce the metabolism, that is going to increase our appetite, that will give us a lot of stress, that will give us medical problems like hypertension and cholesterol, etc. So lots of demerits of actually sleeping late and waking up late in the morning or sleeping less altogether. So, yeah.
We've also been asked a very interesting question saying, is there such a diet like a growth diet to actually help increase my height? I've never heard this one before. So over to you.
No, actually, high genes are all hereditary that we take in from our parents, and there's nothing like a growth diet. In fact, it's just that proteins that we give extra, and we well feed the person in terms of energy and proteins when somebody has a stunted growth or a less height. Otherwise, well, this is the age in which there are quacks sitting in the market who would want to, encash on people wanting to grow the height and giving them things like very harmful hormones, which obviously are not considered to be good, because you should never tamper your body with hormones. I mean, we'll end up having very, very serious diseases, and we may even lose our life. They can even be fatal, some of them. So no, love yourself the way you are. And there are many great people we know in history who've been with short height. It's just about how your personality looks. It's not so much to do with height. So people with less height, just chill and enjoy your life and lead a great life. And I'm sure there's so much in store for you. So instead of going in for all these artificial hormones and synthetic supplements, and no, I would never advise that.
We've also been asked about PCOS diet. Is that something that one should consider?
The diet on this platform is going to be very, very difficult, but I would advise some of the things for PCOS in short. So, of course, first is that they have to be on complex carbohydrates, because PCOS also means insulin insensitivity, which leads to diabetes type 2. So, most of the PCOS patients have got a high level of blood sugar. So yes, no refined carbs and no white sugar for them at all. The second thing is, again, because it is endocrinal or hormone related, so all the hormones actually get made in the early part of the sleep. So sleeping on time is going to make a difference for the PCOS. The third thing is, we normally avoid milk and dairy for them. So yeah, to begin with, I don't know the values. I mean, depending upon the FSH levels, we would actually advise no milk or less milk. But yes, I mean, I would actually recommend you for no dairy if you have a PCOS. The fourth significant point for the PCOS is that going for a regular physical activity, because a workout always fixes the hormones of any kind in your body very easily. So that, and of course, like maintain a good health hygiene, which is very, very important also. And meditate for about 10 minutes. And there are certain yogas that we recommend for PCOS of the lower abdomen. So stick on to those. They are very, Mandukasana is supposed to be very good for PCOS. Bhujangasana is also very good for PCOS. So there are a couple of asanas, a good regular physical activity, eating the right food, sleeping on time, and having complex carbohydrate, and remember, no dairy. So this is what I recommend for PCOS.
I think this session is overloaded with information, isn't it? So people, even after this is over, this will be on IGTV. Go back and check all of this out. It's got so much in it. Ishika wants to know, doctor, how to not gain weight while you are studying hard for exams.
Oh, well, we don't normally, Ishika. Okay, Ishika. Okay, Ishika, we don't normally gain weight. I just want to let you know that our brain, when it works a lot, okay, especially at the time of examination or in any kind of a stress situation also, consumes 30% more glucose than rest of the body. So actually you would be feeling a lot hungry, when you sit and study for long hours. Just ensure that you don't over caffeinate yourself. I mean, like, people, in order to wake up a little late, they want to have a lot of caffeine. So that's something you have to be very clear about. No excessive caffeine. And then have a lot of fruits and good complex carbohydrate when you're studying a lot, because as I told you, carbohydrate converts into glucose in the body, and your brain, to memorize things, whenever you're trying to memorize anything, needs 30% or little more amount of carbohydrates, because the brain cells function by glucose. And keep yourself hydrated, because your brain tissues are 85% water. So the brain does not know how to function in anything less than 85% water. So even when people are stressed out because of any reason, depressed, feeling less motivated, or feeling very, very low mentally, is the time when we actually tell them to get hydrated. Because the moment your brain tissues actually like, go down in terms of hydration or water amount less than 85%, you start getting of all those symptoms like feeling low, not being able to memorize, not being able to focus and concentrate. So all those actually symptoms start coming around. So yes, take care of your glucose and take care of your amount of healthy carbohydrates and hydration levels, and less caffeine. And fourth, very important, is that in between, when you're trying to study, try and walk and study, because you have to keep your circulation going in, because your heart actually pumps the blood towards your brain, which is kind of anti-gravity, right? So your heart, to be able to work so hard and efficiently to able to pump the blood, which is anti-gravity, towards the brain, it would need a good circulation. So for every 1 hour of sitting, try to walk around for 5 to 10 minutes. That would actually give you a good boost, in terms of your mental fitness, and you'll see that you learn faster, you'll be able to memorize things, concentrate more, and not get very distracted and not be very irritated all the time, that we see in the children who are studying. So just follow these things, and I'm sure that you're going to fare well in your studies.
We've also been asked, what is the average calorie intake to lose weight?
Well, it so depends upon what is your output. I mean, for a person like me, I would take 1400, because I work out for 2 hours every day. For a person who's working out a little more, can be given an allowance of having extra calories. But yeah, anywhere between 1400 to 1500 is what we recommend to a normal girl who works out a little bit, say for an hour and a half in a day, and is majorly sedentary for rest over the day. But then ensure that every meal should have carbohydrate, fat, protein, vitamins, and minerals. You don't have to be only on some food, or only on vegetables, or only on soup, because your body needs all the nutrients in optimal amount. Yeah.
Lata here wants to know the opposite. She wants to gain weight. How does one do that?
Lata, you don't have to gain the weight if you're absolutely healthy. There always comes a time in your life when you start gaining weight. So 10 years later, you'll be saying that now I want to lose weight. So yeah, gaining weight is not something we would recommend to you if you're absolutely healthy. But if you're not healthy, or if you've been sick for a while, or if you have a lower immunity, we would address that particular thing instead of, idea then also would not be, to make you gain your weight. The idea would be to transform that one thing that's giving you a problem, say immunity or whatever it is. But then yes, if you really want to gain weight, you can take a bit of complex cereals extra, say one paratha or one chapati at both your primary meals like lunch and dinner, and try and take an extra glass of fruit juice. That is going to give you good amount of vitamins and minerals, because to be able to convert fat, to be able to gain weight, you need vitamins and minerals actually that acts as enzymes for you to gain some fat. So you can do that, but nothing more than that. We'd never ask you to overindulge in the food to become fat, or to have sugar, or to have sweets and things like that. Please be on a healthy diet and be fit. It is all right to be thin. It's just that your body is going to take time, and it's going to come around as you age. You're going to gain weight, but as long as you're fit and healthy, there's actually no issues.
Thank you. Poonam wants to know weight loss tips. I know that you've already covered a lot of it on this chat, but I suggest, how about we do 5 basic tips of weight loss so everybody
Okay.
remembers them.
Yes. So I'd love to do this actually. So I just reiterate, the first thing is to not overindulge in deep fried and sweets. Okay. 6 days in a week. One meal in a day, one meal in a week is something where you can actually take in some amount of sweets and deep fried. Second thing is to be well hydrated, to drink plenty of water because your metabolism gets a kick when you have about 4 liters of water. Third thing is to sleep on time because when you sleep on time, you have lovely hormones that releases in your body that helps you to lose weight effectively. The next thing is to have lots of complex carbohydrate and have a meal that have carbs, fat, protein, vitamins and minerals and not follow anything like a fat diet or unhealthy diet or be only on soups and vegetables and things like that. Then you're going to face a problem. And very important to go for at least about 40 minutes of physical activity regularly, at least 4 to 5 days in a week. And that's going to take care of your health. So yes, I mean, these are my 5 top points for weight loss.
Superb. We've got a very active viewer today, Charming Desert Rose. She's been doing lots of questions, and there's one I'm taking up. In fact, lots of compliments to us as well for our good skin and hair. So that comes from her. But she's asking, what's better, roti or rice? Which one would you recommend with meals?
Well, roti and rice both have the same amount of carbohydrates, so there is something called glycemic index these days that we focus upon. So glycemic index is how fast any food raises your blood sugar level. So roti, the wheat roti and the rice, they have similar glycemic index, 65 and 70, 65 for wheat and 70 for rice. So it's not too much of a difference. What you're eating it with makes a difference. So have it with your vegetables and chilka dal. So if you're having your rice, please have it with a chilka wali dal, okay, which would have more of fiber, and have it with a good green leafy vegetable or even a green vegetable would do. And same thing goes for roti. If you have roti with your dal and with your, the good, nice, not potato wala vegetable, potato can be part of the vegetable like potato beans and potato peas or whatever. So, but then when you have it like that and with ample amount of salads in your diet, it is going to give you a great health. So both these, like cereals are very, very good. Roti is very good. Rice is very good. In fact, people consider rice to be so much of a villain when it comes to weight loss, but it is not like that. It's just that we can count rotis and you cannot count rice. So that's the only area where we go wrong with the rice is that we overindulge in eating rice because we cannot count it. So yeah, I mean, like you can just take a cupful of rice, say 150 grams of rice, cooked rice in a meal with loads of dal and sabzi and your salad. Then both the cereals are good to go. Please have whatever you enjoy because they're both amazing for weight loss.
What about the new entrant, quinoa?
Well, I mean, like there are lots of people in India who are not able to afford quinoa, so we'd not give anything like that. Yes, it is a cereal that comes from Bolivia. It is one cereal. I agree that it is a complete protein, the only vegetarian source of complete protein. So, like, of course, people can have, but those of you who cannot afford quinoa, it is just all right to be on a khichdi, which is dal chawal. So, everything that comes from a dal chawal mix is what quinoa has. So you don't have to worry about it. I mean, you can of course have quinoa with your vegetables or make a dalia out of it like the milk porridge. But yes, you can go ahead and have your khichdi and your dal chawal or kadhi chawal or rajma rice or chole rice. Even that would have almost the similar nutrients as quinoa. So nothing to worry. But it's just that, yeah, the protein has to be combined together. So when you have cereal and pulse mix, or you have quinoa on the other side, then the nutrient balance happens and both are good to go.
Thank you. We've also been asked what to eat to lose weight after delivery.
Oh, well, after delivery, we release all the hormones, oxytocin and all. I mean, they actually help us in actually losing weight, okay? Because the nature has taken care of releasing and, our body metabolism functioning in such a way after we've delivered a baby that weight happens normally. But what we teach to our students here at VLCC and the kind of diets that we give to our clients also is that when we are lactating, the lactation diet, that is when we are feeding our babies after the delivery, we are just supposed to take in some 300 to 500 calories more than a normal diet. So what people do is they eat literally, like for two, and they overindulge in a lot of laddus and different kind of, like foods that we are supposed to have after we've delivered a baby. So there's no reason to do that. Please go in for your healthy roti, sabzi, dal, chawal meal. It should be very, very nutritive, because we know that we should be having a good amount of, like everything after the delivery, because we're also feeding the baby. But do not over excessively have a lot of ghee, because that's what all these mithais that are supposed to be had after delivery are made up of. So we do not recommend that. As I mentioned, that it's just 500 calories that we are supposed to eat extra, which is equal to a tall glass of milk and two fruits. That's it. That's all you need to eat extra when you're lactating and post delivery. And if you had a C-section, you can start your ab exercise and workouts after about 3 months of delivering the baby. But if you've had a normal delivery, then you can start exercising after 6 weeks only. So go ahead and have your walks at least. After about 2 weeks, you can start having your walks, maybe in the house, on the house terrace, for about 40 to 45 minutes every day. And that's it. I mean, you're going to lose weight very easily, because your body is supporting you 100%. It's just that we consume excessive calories during the lactation period that actually prevents us from a great weight loss.
Thank you. So well answered. We're also being asked, how do we improve vitamin D deficiency and iron?
Okay, so iron deficiency actually is taken care of when we have vitamin C with every meal. So most of us are vegetarians these days, and the world is turning into being a vegan. So all the iron sources actually come from the animal sources. Okay, so and animal sources of iron is actually a very good source, but the human body is not really made to consume any kind of a meat per se. So our bodies are made according to the condition of being a vegetarian most of the time. So vegetarian iron is actually less absorbed. Okay, but that iron, the iron in the vegetarian is in the ferric form. Ferrous is the chemical name of the iron. I don't want to again sound very technical, but again that ferric has to be changed into ferrous. That happens in the presence of vitamin C. So always have vitamin C source, that is curd or a green chutney or green chilies in your diet, and some salads with lemon juice. So they are all vitamin C foods that will help the iron to get absorbed. And another thing is vitamin D3. So for vitamin D3, it is advised to go in for a regular physical activity during the morning hours before 8 a.m. So the morning sun is actually very, very healthy for the bones, and people who wake up in the morning and who experience that morning sun, they know how effective it is in reducing not just the vitamin D deficiency, but lots of other ailments as well. So that of course, but then if you have a great deficiency of vitamin D3, if it is less, anything less than 20, then just the sunlight would not be able to do the thing for you. Then we may need to put you on supplements depending upon your levels, current levels. But yes, vitamin D3 actually is amazing when it comes to your mental health, because deficiency may lead to depression and other mental disorders. And also it would prevent your weight loss to happen. So please go and get your vitamin D3 checked and get it corrected. And we are always there to help you. You can consult your medical practitioner or your nutritionist. I'm sure that they'll be able to help you and tell you the right amount of dosage to be taken if the deficiency is very deep. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Like you said, we actually need 2-3 hours for this, don't we? There's so much there that people want to know, so many questions still coming up.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put all of that in this chat.
I know.
But I think before you go, one major myth busting is required. Ghee, acha hai ki bura hai, aur kitna lena chahiye?
Okay. So desi ghee, and especially cow's ghee, is considered to be good for health. It has lots of benefits. It corrects our calcium and vitamin D3 deficiency. It also, like the cow's ghee contains something called CLA, which we call as conjugated linoleic acid, which is a fat burner. So overall, it is considered to be definitely very, very good for health. But yes, I mean, like again, overconsumption of desi ghee would actually help us in putting on weight, because we all know that it is a high calorie source. So 1 gram of desi ghee itself gives you 9 kilocalories. So if you have like 5, you're consuming your additional of 50 kilocalories, and people have loads of desi ghee. So go easy on desi ghee. Have about 2 teaspoons or 3 teaspoons of desi ghee. You can have your dal ka tadka done in desi ghee. You can use desi ghee on your chapatis and rotis that you have, and that's it. Okay, nothing, not going overboard on desi ghee, but desi ghee is definitely going to help you in your weight loss because it does contain a fat burner. And but that's about the cow's ghee. So yes, we can go ahead and consume it, but again, watch out for the quantity of the desi ghee that you're consuming. So that's about it.
Thanks, Doctor. Again, people, only time for one last question now. I'm sorry I can't take all of them on
Oh,
this
that's
very
okay.
chat.
I'm loving it, Supreet.
Yeah, we'll of course make sure that we do maybe another part of this soon because there's so much they want to know. But before you go, I wanted to ask about the association of VLCC with IMA,
Yeah,
the Indian
so
Medical
IMA is the
Association.
Indian Medical Association. Yes, so yes, we have IMA recommending VLCC for all the treatments and the therapies and the appliances and the trainings that we use to be medically safe for us. And they're very, very scientific and done and executed by a team of professionals. So hence, that is the association between the IMA and us. So we are very safe in terms of, the safety bit of it, like, in terms of the therapies, in terms of the trainings that we give, in terms of the appliances that we use. So we actually recommended by the Indian Medical Association for all these services that we have here at VLCC.
I hope that all of you know where this is coming from. Megha, in fact, here says, ma'am, you have explained this even better than our college lecturers. That's how great this information has been. Thank you,
Wow,
Doctor, for sharing
Megha,
that with us.
thank you so much.
Again, we would have loved to carry on, but slightly short on time now. But thank you, Doctor. You really put so much information in this one packed session. I mean, honestly, if people, you ever get lost, go back to this IGTV. So many people have joined in. We've got our pageant candidate as well with us, Ritika Raghav, who wants to know all about carb-free diet, if it's okay to have it in a pageant where she's got 12 hours of working days. But I feel that you've answered everything already. So Ritika, please go back to this IGTV.
Yeah.
Watch it from the beginning if you've got the time. You have all your questions answered along with your protein supplements and what else you may have. So it's all there, people. Whoever's joining in now, I'm reading your questions, but much of it is already answered. And for the ones I can't take right now, I'm sure we'll have a part 2 of this coming up at some point. So
yeah, that's what I was about to say, that yes, we can have a part 2 of this, and Supreet, you can ask, and it will be great to meet you again, and we can answer all the queries.
My
So
pleasure.
so
I'm learning so much as well. So thank you so much. And people are interested as well. So maybe we will think about this one and
we
see
will
if we
think
can do
about
a part
this.
2.
Yeah.
Thank you, people, for making this one informative session. I hope you all enjoyed this. And thank you to Dr. Deepti Verma for her time and for VLCC for putting this together. We'll see you all shortly. Thank you very much again for joining us on
Thank
this
you
live.
so much.
Have
and all the
very
best
evening.
to all the viewers. Bye, Supreet. It was great being with you. Thank
Same
you.
here, Doctor. Thank you very much for being the Mythbuster today. See you.